And what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 171 of the Designated Players Podcast. Today, we are just a few days away from the first installment of the league-wide Leagues Cup. So we're here to break it down and give some predictions, as we always do. We're going to talk about some top players, players to watch, Liga MX, MLS team positions, all that and more on this episode of the Designated Players Podcast. Music interlude. Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I get to talk about another meaningless tournament.
Come on, this one is the most. If you took the prize money from doing the Supporter Shield, MLS Cup, and U.S. Open Cup treble, combine them together and compare them to the prize money in this tournament, it's not the Leagues Cup gives you more money than doing the treble in the domestic treble. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that gives a bit more meaning to this tournament. Not
Yeah,
that MLS teams can really use it anyway, because they're all financially restricted by the salary cap, but
Liga MX is dying for this because of how bad they are in their monetary state right now. They canceled their pro rel because teams are just losing money left, right, and center.
yeah, I was wondering why all the same teams were in the league again. I had thought they had pro rel, and then I was like, maybe they don't.
They canceled it like 2 years ago because the financial situation of the second division was so bad. They couldn't afford to do any of this stuff. I think I read something like a bunch of teams who earned promotion couldn't pay the like entry fee or whatever it is. So I think even if you get promoted, there's an entry fee you have to pay to be a part of the league. And they couldn't do it. So they just said, okay, we're gonna put a stop to it until we can get all this stuff sorted out. I think it's gonna come back in like 2027 or something like that after the World Cup.
But we should definitely implement it in MLS, right? Like it will 100% work. We won't have the same issues.
We got to get to we got to get to that one at some point.
That's gonna be like our, what's the right way to say it? Like our, I can't think of the right word.
It's gonna be our swan song because we're gonna get canceled by
There's
one
so
half of
on.
Twitter. It'll be the last thing we ever put out because half of Twitter will cancel us.
Who says we aren't already canceled by half of Twitter?
I mean, probably, right? Before we go into that, I want to know scarf of the week, as always.
Well, I've just gone for one of the teams that I will be talking about today. This was on the bottom of my pile, so would assume I haven't busted it out in a while, but I really do like this scarf. Gone for the CF Montreal one. Really cool, like marbling type of, I guess, design on it.
Is it with the old? Is it the middle crest or is it the new one? Because
I think
they had the Montreal Impact, then they went to CF Montreal, then they rebranded again. Is it the middle one?
yeah, this is the middle one. The
Okay,
snowflake.
gotcha. Um, I very rarely get to do this, but I'm also talking about this team. And since we don't often talk about our friends to the south, I've broken out Club America.
Nice.
I don't get to break these out often, and I'm not talking about Tijuana, which is am I talking about Tijuana? I might be.
No,
Uh,
I am.
okay, well, I have that one as well, but I haven't dug into it, so I didn't bring it out. But I don't get to bring out the Liga MX scars very often, and they're not going to be around in the tournament much anyway, because by the round of 16, it's just going to be an MLS knockout tournament, isn't it? So might as well give them a shout out now and move on from there.
Fair enough.
All right, let's talk about Leagues Cup format, all that good stuff. So it's Liga MX versus MLS. In past iterations, it was like 4 clubs from each. This year, it is every single club. They've taken a break from league play in both leagues, entered into this tournament. It's every team playing against each other in a mix of group stages and March Madness style knockout tournament. LAFC and Pachuca both have buys into the knockout rounds after winning MLS Cup and the Liga MX title, respectively. The 2 top teams from each group of 3 will move on to predefined slots which will then turn into a March Madness style knockout tournament. 1 game per round, win and move on. Winner of the tournament gets a spot in the CONCACAF Champions League, $1 million prize, and most important of all, bragging rights for the year for your league neighbor to the north or south, depending on who you are. Got it? Good. Shall we chat about the groups, or do you want to add something, Mr. Wright?
I have nothing to add.
Shocker. So what I'm thinking is I'll give one, you give one, or actually you give one, I'll give one, because I have a group. The West only has 3 groups. So I think you've got 8 and I've got 7. So I think you go first and we'll end up at the same time.
Sounds good.
Cool. Oh, and before you get on, at the end of your group, we'll both make predictions and then move on, both make predictions, okay?
Sounds good.
Lovely.
All right, so I'll kick us off with South 1 then. South 1 has Austin, FC Juarez, and Mazatlan. So I'll start with Austin. They are currently 12th in the Supporter Shield, 5th in the West. My key player for them, it's an obvious one if you follow MLS, Sebastian Jerisi. He is their big name player. He is their superstar. Been off to a bit of a slow start this year, but I do think Austin's finally starting to get it together. And I think he will be crucial to them being as successful as they were last season. He was one of the best players in the league. He was up for the MVP award. And Austin finished in 2nd place in the West, I believe, because of that. So if he starts getting going again, Austin's going to be right back to that dangerous team we were expecting at the start of the season. FC Juarez, we're looking, I don't think Andrew specified this, but we are going to just look at their standing positions from last season, considering this season is only about like 3 games in. So last season in the Apertura, they finished in 11th, and in the Clausura, they finished in 16th. Key player was a bit of a tough one for me on this one, because almost every starter from last year is gone. There was massive turnover in this team, but I've gone for Aitor Garcia. He came over from Spain in the Spanish 2nd division, and is looking to help improve a team that was struggling in the attack last season. They were pretty decent defensively, but really lacking in the goals. So I think Garcia could be a good addition to help kind of fix that issue for them. And then for Mazatlan, Apertura, they finished in 14th, and the Clausura, they finished in 18th. So not exactly the strongest side. I've gone for Nestor Vidro as their key player. He is a bit of an older defender for them. He is their team captain and was also one of their higher rated consistent starters on SofaScore from last year. So I think he'll be a good team leader for this team, where in this case, it looks like they're going to probably be in an uphill battle. So I think his leadership in the back line will be super important for them.
Pretty interesting that are a lot of your groups Liga MX heavy?
No, I would say, let's see, 1, 2. There's only 2 groups that have majority Liga MX teams.
That's what I thought as well. And it's interesting that they took 2 of the bottom 3 teams from Liga MX and put them in the same bracket.
Yeah, I think Austin got a bit lucky there.
I would absolutely say this is a group that Austin should be handling relatively easily. But then again, they should have gotten through the Haitian side Violette and absolutely I can't use the term on this podcast, but yeah, bottled is a great way to put what I was about to say. What about your predictions? Talk to me.
So I've got Austin at 1, I got FC Juarez at 2, and I've got Mazatlan at 3.
So I am actually going to switch that up a bit. You mentioned all the turnover at Juarez, and they just started off their season, so they really haven't had that time to gel. So I think it's going to be Austin in the first spot, Mazatlan in the second spot, and Juarez in the third spot.
That's fair. I think 2 and 3 could definitely be flipped, but I think I've just gone for the team that I felt was a bit stronger on paper, even though they have had that turnover, like you said.
I do believe that Mazatlan may have been one of the last teams promoted before the freeze. So that might be why they've been struggling so. But again, I think this could be a good spot. A lot of the things that I talk about in my groups are, a good spot where, you may not get out of the group, but it's a really good opportunity to get some new players' chemistry, get some new looks in there, and really figure out some things that might not be going correctly.
Yeah, and this is completely irrelevant to the rankings, but FC Juarez has one of the coolest badges
Yep.
in like world soccer. Like it's
Yeah.
unreal. It's awesome.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Shall we move on to West One?
Let's do it.
All righty. West One is tough. Connor might have mentioned, I don't know if you were on air or off air, but one side of the bracket, which ended up being mine, is chock full of talent. I think Connor, I've got the West and the Central. Connor's got East and South. West and Central combined have pretty much all of the top 7 to 11 players or 11 teams in Liga MX, and all the rest ended up with Connor. So we're going to talk about some big boys here. I'm starting with West 1, which is between Tigres, Portland, and San Jose. So we'll start with the Liga MX side, as always, because, the weaker first. So they are, let me rephrase this here. So in last year's Clausura, Tigres finished in 7th spot with a 7-4-6 record, led by the same coach I mentioned, Robert Siboldi. My player to watch, and you're going to love this one, is Mexican star boy Diego Lainez.
Ooh.
Mr. I'm going to go overseas and be absolutely mid for a ton of time before going straight back to Tigres on loan.
The meme man himself.
The meme man himself, Mr. I'm 5'3", and Matt Miazga reminded me of it. He's come in, as I mentioned, not in the best of form. 55 appearances in La Liga when he was with Betis. 0 goals, 3 appearances, not even 2,000 minutes. Just double checking to make, not even 2,000 minutes. He was a sub for the entire time, barely got a start, came back on loan to get some game time, and has not done much of anything for Tigres so far, to my understanding. I will double check. Yep, so he's got a total of 23 matches, 0 goals, 2 assists, a little bit more game time per appearance, so he's sitting right about 1,000 minutes now. But his production is poor. So for them to get through this group, they're going to need a little bit more out of him. Moving into Portland, they are struggling to say the least. In the MLS Western Conference, they sit 12th out of 14, 5 points from the playoff line, 5-9-8 record as of recording before last night's games. Gio Savarese's men have had a tough time away from home, winning only once in 12 tries, but we'll have new signing Frank Boley leading the line, and he's my player to watch. The newest Timbers signing already has 6 goals in just over 1,000 minutes this season and has linked up really, really well with Evander, their new $10 million signing. This pair will need to be on top of their game if they want to get out through the knockout stages. And finally, we've got San Jose. The Quakes have had a resurgence under first-year boss Luchi Gonzalez, thanks in no part to Connor's prediction, because apparently I'm the only one who can curse people, but whatever. They currently sit 5th with 32 points, 4 points clear of a playoff line at an 8-7-8 record. There's only one man to watch for me. I know you know it too. No, it's not Cade Cowell, Connor. Gosh. And
it's
no,
Jackson Ewell.
It's not Jackson Ewell, nor is it Benji Kakanovic. It's the goalkeeper, Daniel. Currently sitting at 4th in what we call the godfather of all goalkeeper stats, PSXG plus minus. He's got a 3.7 and is in very good company with Brad Stuver, Georgi Petrovic, and Roman Berkey. You could tell how much they felt his absence when he was injured, and he's going to have a massive, massive role in success this tournament.
There are a number of names on San Jose that I think could be a key player, which is pretty wild. Like
Yeah,
there's
who would
key
have
players.
thought?
I know. Daniel, Krishna Espinosa, Abobasi. That's a squad right there.
Yep, and that's why my predictions go like this: San Jose first,
Wow.
Tigre second, and Portland third.
I think you're just trying to make more enemies of the pod.
If we don't have enough enemies, are we doing our job? What do you got?
I've got Tigres first, San Jose second, Portland third.
I think you are just a Liga MX snob. That's really what it is.
Yeah, pretty much. All
So,
right.
oh yeah, go ahead. I forgot. I'm not going next.
Yeah. My turn. We'll go to South 2. We'll just continue through the South and then we'll move to the East. South 2 has Houston, Orlando, and Santos Laguna. So let's start off with Liga MX. As Andrew said, let's start off with the weak teams. Santos Laguna last season in the Apertura finished in third, and the Clausura they finished 13th. For a key player for me, I've gone for Juan Bruneta. The Argentine was brought in officially this season for about 2.5 million euros. He was the top-rated player in the Clausura last season, and already has a goal this season as well. I think he'll be a key player in their attack. For Orlando, they are currently 7th in the Supporter Shield and 5th in the East. I think they've been making a strong push lately. I think they had a little bit of a slow start to the season, but they are starting to look like the team that we were expecting at the start of the season. Key player for me, the young Uruguayan Facundo Torres. He is the guy that is meant to be the star of this team, and he has all the pieces around him to make him the star. I think he will be the key player in the attack, and I think this will be a great chance for him to kind of put his name on the map as the superstar of Orlando. Then lastly, we have Houston, 19th in the Supporter Shield, 9th in the West. I think they had a hot start and have starting to cool down and look more like the team that we were expecting at the start of the season. Key player for me, Hector Herrera. When he is playing well, I think Houston is a much more dangerous team. However, I think it will be dependent on how much he's playing. I feel like he hasn't played a ton this season. I don't know if it's through injuries, but he will definitely be super key for them, because if he's playing well, I think the rest of the team will be much more dangerous. Yeah, and that's about it.
My big worry with Houston is how night and day they are home and away. You've got a team that, they started off hot, but they're still very good at home at 7-2-2, and away they're 1-8-3, and that middle number is a loss, my friends, not a draw. So they've got one game home, one game away. Lots of travel in this too, by the way. Over 10 days, Houston's traveling to Florida, coming back, and then playing a home game in their own home stadium. But then you got Santos Laguna, who's playing 2 away games. I don't know, none of these games go over the border, do they? Are they all in the country?
That I'm not sure of.
Yeah, me either. But that would be kind of tough on the Liga MX side, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But either ways, Orlando is in a bit of a better spot. They've got 5 wins home and away, so they can handle that trip. And then you've got Santos Laguna, who in our standings back in Clausura in 13th place. Oh, they don't do the home and away breakdown. That stinks. But anyways, that's kind of my worry is home form is massive in MLS. It always has been. So how will this lots of travel, work? That's kind of always the thing on my mind. But I'd like to know your predictions.
I'm actually making a last second change to my predictions here.
That's always worked out well.
Yes, I definitely will not regret this. But I'm going to go with Orlando first, Santos Laguna second, and Houston in third.
Ooh. I am just looking really quick. The away team was. Yeah, I can't find any of this data. That stinks. I believe the way I had it was Orlando in 1, Houston at 2, and Santos in 3. Because there are so few games in there, I think that one home game for Houston is going to really help them out because they usually keep a good clean sheet there, which can help their goal differential. What was your go again? Sorry.
Orlando 1, Santos Laguna 2, and Houston 3.
Gotcha. I'm just taking notes for edits later.
All good.
But
Yeah,
I
I just don't trust Houston's form. I know that they are definitely much better at home, but their last 5, they have 3 losses, 2 draws, 0 wins in their last 5. So
Yep, they're up and down for sure. But Benny Ball never dies, so you never know.
it's true.
Moving on to West 2, I've got a real tough one here. I've got Monterrey, Real Salt Lake, and the Seattle Sounders. Maybe, possibly the group of death. I start with Monterrey, a classic Liga MX powerhouse, finished top of the Clausura last year, 6 points clear with a 13-1-3 record. So 3 losses. They mix theirs up. 13 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. Chock full of talent and led by Fernando Ortiz, they will be a tough test for anybody in their way. One to watch for me is 21-year-old center back Victor Guzman. He led the line last season where they only gave up 14 goals in 17 games after signing for $3 million from Tijuana the year before. He's the focal point of the LLL tree rebuild and can also use this tournament as a massive boost to his now $6 million transfer market value. Real Salt Lake is having another really good season, sitting at 4th in the West after ripping apart the best team on turf, New York Red Bull. Under the leadership of Pablo Mastroeni, they've gotten a 9-7-7 record. They were the League's Cup runner-up in 2022, losing to Atlas 2-1 in the final match. The one to watch is pretty obvious, and it's newcomer Chicho Arango. The dude just scores goals. 28-year-old Colombian with 2 national team appearances already, has a goal and assist in 2 matches for RSL so far, but he scored 5 and 2 in 11 matches for Liga MX when he was over there with Pachuca, and had an insane 33 goals in 54 matches for LAFC. His production level will carry RSL as far as RSL can go. Then you've got Seattle, one of 3 MLS sides to win a CONCACAF Champions League and the first since Los Angeles Galaxy of 2000. Go check out that episode. We've done that one before. Seattle are still in great form, sitting in 3rd place with a record of 10-8-5. Brian Schmetzer has a solid team that knows the system and implements it in every single game. Lots of players to watch, but I would keep my eye on Leo Chu. When he's on, he's on. And Connor can speak to this because he watched him live. But at times, he does miss out on the final product. If Seattle want to go far in this tournament, he's going to have to be on top of his game and setting up Jordan Morris or Raul Ruidiaz constantly, as he has done so many times this year already.
So for me, I think there's only one other group that I'm looking at as a potential other group of death. But this one, the reason that I'm saying this is because I feel like if you just think about it on paper really quick, you'd be like, oh, like RSL is probably a weak link. But I was thinking about RSL in my free time, as I often do. And this team, like, I think in past years, we've always said, like, oh, like, this team sucks on paper. Like, they shouldn't be this good, but yet somehow they're performing every season. This is the first time where I feel like RSL are actually good on paper. Like, they have star players in their team, and then they have a really solid core around them. You have Chicho Aranjo, you have Pablo Ruiz, you have Jefferson Savarino. Those 3 guys are stars, and they have the potential to be stars in this league. And then you have a really solid team around them that knows how to play together. Like this RSL team is a sleeper team. I think they could be dangerous. I don't know what to expect from them. I think they got super unlucky and that this is a really stacked group.
You may say unlucky. Talk to me about predictions then.
So at the moment, I guess this is me officially putting it in, so I won't change it. But I have Monterrey in first, I have Seattle in second, and I have RSL in third, which feels so harsh. But I just think that I like Seattle's depth a bit more, and that's why I'm going with them a second.
Yeah, Seattle. There is a good team that's going to miss out on the knockouts from this group. The other one that I think, and we'll talk about it later. Central One,
Yeah, that's the other one I was
Club
considering too.
America, the Crew, and St. Louis is going to be another
That's
one where it's going to hurt.
yeah.
Um, However, I mentioned Leo Chu's got to be on or he's not. I've got Monterrey in first, RSL in second, and Seattle in third. I think Seattle misses out here because they've only got 2 games. You can't have one of those where it's like, oh, I'll get it back next time, or maybe sneak one away, late. These teams are not going to let you just do that. So I think Seattle misses out based off of just two. You got 2 games, figure it out. You know.
Yeah, I could see that. No disagreements here.
Alrighty, up to you.
All right. So let's go for South 3. This is where we get to see my boys. So we've got Cruz Azul, Inter Miami, and Atlanta United. So let's start with Cruz Azul. In the Apertura, last season they finished 7th, and in the Clausura, they finished 8th. Pretty solidly around mid-table, a little bit higher than that. However, this season, they've lost all of their 3 games to start the season. So they're in pretty bad form. Key player, I've gone for Carlos Salcedo for the memes. But in reality, he is actually my key player here. He came over from Juarez for 3.7 million euros after playing pretty well there. He's now the team captain, and despite the 0-3 start, has 4.3 clearances per game, 1.7 tackles per game, and 0 times dribbled pass per game. Obviously, it's a little tough to pick a key player as they've been dreadful to start the season. But I do think that Salcedo seems to be at his best when he is playing in Liga MX. We can forget about his time in Toronto. Some of us can forget about it.
What time?
Next, we'll go for Atlanta, 11th in the Supporter Shield, 7th in the East. Key player for this one, as if it was going to be anybody else, it's Thiago Almada. He has been carrying this team all season. He will continue to carry them. There are other good players on Atlanta, obviously, but he is their star. And he will drag Atlanta as far as he possibly can in this tournament. Then we have Inter Miami, 29th in the Supporter Shield, 15th in the East. Do we know if Messi is going to be playing in Leagues Cup, or is it still too early?
The rumor is that game against Cruz Azul is going to be game 1.
Okay. If that's the case, then it's a pretty obvious key player here. Leo Messi.
Who?
The GOAT. Safe to say he will be doing a lot of work in Miami because this team is dreadful right now. So I do have a backup. If Messi does not play, I've gone for Josef Martinez as the key player. The guy who knows how to score goals.
Guy who knows how to score pens.
Pens are goals. Still goals.
They're fake goals.
Anything you wanted to add in before ranking?
This is going to be a mid-off, I think.
Yeah, this is not the strongest
group. This is
group.
going to be a mid.
I've gone for Atlanta 1 because I'm biased. Cruz Azul 2 because I think that their start of the season is probably indicative of this team not exactly either gelling or just being on the right page right now. So I have them a bit below Atlanta. I think Cruz Azul at their best is definitely better than Atlanta, but I'm concerned with their 0-3 start. And then I've got Miami 3rd. This team just has so many problems at the moment that I don't even know if Messi can bring them out of this, to be honest.
I can see this being like a every team has 3 points and we're going down to like the seventh tiebreaker to figure out who goes through because it's
I could
just
see
such
that.
a
Yeah,
bad group. Like
it is a bad group.
Atlanta's so spacey. They're either really good or they're really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Cruz Azul, like you mentioned, is in bad form, but has uh has decent track record from last year. Can the Miami hype with what will clearly be a sold out stadium push Inter Miami to another level to be decent? And I'm gonna do something mad here because why the heck not?
'Cause that's gone so well for you in the past.
Yeah. Um, give me Atlanta 1. Give me Miami 2. No, you know what? Let's go crazier. Let's go crazier.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Give me Miami 1.
Oh God.
Give me Cruz Azul 2. Give me
You're
Atlanta.
just doing this to piss me off. That's what you're doing.
Give me Atlanta at 3. So you had Atlanta at 1, Cruz, and then Miami.
It's
Yeah.
wild that you think Miami's finishing first.
Well, listen, this tournament does not matter. I'm here for the vibes, I'm here for the memes, and I'm here for the reactions. So yeah, Messi's not only getting them first, he's getting them all the way to the Leagues Cup title. Then he's going to turn them around, put them on a 19 game unbeaten streak to win the MLS Cup. Vibes.
Then they're just going to say that our league is way too easy and it's terrible. We
He's
can't
gonna.
have that.
We've talked about this. It doesn't matter what he does. We're gonna get some shaft somewhere, whether it's gonna be we're too easy or he's just retiring and it doesn't matter. But anyways, we talked about one mid off. Let's go to another one. It's West 3. It's the LA Galaxy. It's Lyon and it's Vancouver. LA Galaxy, struggling to say the least, sits second to last in the entire league on a transfer ban, 6 points from the playoff line, 5-9-7 record. Greg Vanney and co. have their work cut out for them while star striker Chicharito sits on the bench for the year after going down with a knee injury. That would have been cool to see him playing against other Liga MX sides, being a big Mexican star, of course. But the one to watch is the Barcelona star that was signed to big money, but not that one, the other one. Ricky Puig. Quiet for so long, but finally coming out of his shell after a killer game in the last El Trafico, and then an even better goal after that. He's in stride, and that's only going to mean good things for LA. They do need a lot more help, though, especially with a bunch of injuries they picked up last night. So have fun. Lyon, the reigning CCL champions who finished sixth in the Clausura last year with an 8-6-3 record. Argentinian Nico Larcamon leads the squad from the touchline. But the one to keep an eye on for me is Victor Davia. The 25-year-old Chilean striker is in decent form after joining from Pachuca for $4.5 million in 2021. 5 goals and 2 appearances in 15. 5 goals, 2 assists in 15 appearances in the Clausura, along with 3 goals in 7 games during the CCL championship run they went. He's going to be a handful for most of the center backs in this group, including ones in Vancouver. Vanni Sartini, the Vancouver Whitecaps head coach by day and Nickelback star by night, has these guys performing at a fringe MLS playoff level, but creating chances at a really good clip. They sit 9th in the West right now, 1 point saved from the playoffs, and a very lucky 7-7-7 record. They're 4th in the West right now in a plus 4.9x goal differential. 3rd most XG, but they're not score. Their attacking play leaves them really open at the back, and they concede just as much as they score. Ryan Gauld is going to be the one to watch for me, a great number 10 in this league. 5 goals, 6 assists, and a decent defensive contribution as well. He's going to pull the string and try and get Vancouver Whitecaps and our Lord and Savior, Brian White, into the next round.
Nothing to add for me.
For me, like I mentioned, it's a mid-off. I'm going Lyon first, Vancouver second, Galaxy third.
Yeah, I've gone for the same thing as well.
Wow, you're original.
I think it's pretty obvious how this group is finishing out. I don't think it has to do with original. It's a shame too because I feel like the Galaxy have been looking better lately.
So be crazy. Make a cool prediction.
No, won't do it. Vancouver, I think Vancouver is solid. I think that I think, like you said, the injuries will hold LA back. Anyway, let's move on to South 4. Last one in the South, we have Necaxa. I apologize.
Gotcha.
Charlotte and Dallas. Let's start with the Liga MX side. In the Apertura, they finished in 12th. In Clausura, they finished in 17th. I've gone for Alexis Pena as their key player. He's their highest rated starter in the Clausura last season. Played the most minutes last season as well, all while keeping Necaxa relatively solid in defense, with the attack seemingly being the struggle area. Then let's go to Dallas. 16th in the Supporters Shield, 8th in the West. Key player, who else but the Euro snob hater himself, Jesus Ferreira. He is a goal-scoring machine in MLS. He's a fantastic attacker, no matter what people say. People will always tell you that he's terrible. He is not. He is very far from terrible. And he will be their key player. If he's scoring goals, Dallas will do well. And then last we have Charlotte, 24th in the Supporters Shield, 12th in the East. It was tough to pick a key player here, but I've gone for Swiderski. I think a lot of players have been struggling on this team, but Swiderski's still putting up the best numbers, and we know him to be the star from last season's team as well.
You pretty much summed it up there. I am worried about the Nikecha attack.
How do you say it? Say it again.
I believe it's Nikecha.
Nikita.
It might be Nicheka. The X is a ch, I believe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just a guess, but worried about that attack. However, I'm worried about all of Charlotte.
True.
What do you got?
I've gone for this is another mid-off group, by the way.
Right.
I've gone for Dallas at 1, Charlotte at 2, and Nikita at 3.
Wow. Okay, we're going crazy here.
Charlotte's got some big names. They've got Swiderski, they got Juzuak, they've got Capetti. And
Capetti has been the biggest bust, though.
He hasn't been great, yeah, for sure. But Nakacha has just not been that great.
I've got Dallas at 1. I've got Nicheka. I'll do it the other way. That way somebody will correct this.
We'll be corrected either way.
Yep. At 2, and I've got Charlotte at 3. You're right. This is another one that 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or 1, 2 and 3 are all going to be decided by one result. So
I think this is Dallas's group to lose. I think
for sure.
They should run away with it.
Before we move on to Central 1, LAFC have entered very advanced negotiations for Napoli winger Irving Lozano.
Ooh.
27-year-old Mexican made 155 appearances for Napoli since joining in 2019, scoring 30 goals. That'd be something else.
LAFC are able to pull those things off, so
they are.
That would also be hilarious. Watching Puli go off to AC Milan and Irving Lozano's going to the retirement league that is MLS.
I'm making sure to cut that part out. We don't need that. We don't need that on the internet. Let me just finish this up real quick.
Pizarro's rumored to LA Galaxy.
He has been. He's going to Greece.
Oh, he's going to Greece?
Yep. They bought him out, and Galaxy were thinking about signing him, but I think he's going to go to Matthias Almeida instead.
Very high transfer probability to AEK.
Yep. All right, let's go to Central 1. This, I believe, is the toughest group in this bracket. You've got Club America, Columbus Crew, who are in great form, and St. Louis City FC. Club America, the Clausura runners-up with 1 loss last year. and have been CONCACAF giants over the last couple. Brazilian manager Andre Jardim, with a massive group of highly talented players, including mine one to watch, Julian Quinones. He joined for 9.17 million just a few weeks ago, and this tournament will likely be one for him to be debuted in and to get him up to speed. He's got 52 goals and 14 assists in his Liga MX career, which spanned 143 games. Regardless of his chemistry with the team, he will be a tough player to handle in this group, simply based off of his attacking ability. Columbus Crew, 5th place in the East, led by Caleb Porter, owning a 10-6-6 record. They've been deadly at home and they've struggled away. Of course, the one to watch is Lucas Zelarayan. The now Armenian number 10 has been so good for Columbus since joining from Tigres for 7.27 mil in 2020. He's currently got 8 goals, 6 assists, and 19 appearances this season. Pulling the strings to link up with Cucho will make things tough for the opposing defenders. And finally, we're at St. Louis. Somehow, after losing their star striker, their best player for like a month and a half, and running out of bribe money for defenders to gift them goals, St. Louis is still top of the West by 2 points with LAFC. And they've got a 12-8-2 record. Former Red Bull Bradley Carnell has a team firing on all cylinders, and every single player has bought into the system. Player to watch for me, Roman Berkey, who currently leads the league in the godfather of goalkeeping stats, PSXG plus minus. Dude has been unreal and will single-handedly keep them in games. I believe, I'm going to double check, I think that he is like at a +8 or something like that. Double check here really quick. Sorry, he's at a +6.3. Tell me that's not the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard.
Who's the next closest?
Petrovic at 5.9.
Yeah, I mean, Berkey's playing like Borussia Dortmund starter Berkey.
Yeah, he's in really good form.
This is as you said, this is arguably the toughest group in the entire thing.
Yep, this one is going to be very difficult.
Someone is getting harshly left off here.
Yep, and here's who I have. I've got Club America at number 1. I've got St. Louis at number 2, meaning I've got Columbus at number 3.
I can't argue with you too much. You can really move these around a decent amount and still have a very reasonable group. I've gone for Club America at 1. I've gone for Columbus at 2. I've gone for St. Louis at 3.
Yep.
I like the star power of Columbus for Zelarayan and Cucho to just step up in a one-off game if they need to just kind of send them through.
To do their thing, huh? All right,
You
go
ready
on.
to go to the East?
I'm always ready.
All right. Let's start with East 1. The last Liga MX heavy group here for me. East 1 has the Philadelphia Union. It has Tijuana. And it has Andrew's favorite, Querétaro. So in this case, let's start with the MLS team since they're the lesser amount of teams here. Philadelphia Union, 4th in the Supporter Shield, 3rd in the East, making a decent comeback after a slow start from CONCACAF Champions League this year. Key player, there's a number of guys you can go with on this team. I've gone for their key attacker, Daniel Gazdag. Their number 10 is, I think, their key cog in the attack. He will open things up for Carranza and Ure. And I think he'll be massively important for them. For Tijuana, in the Apertura, they are 15th. And in the Clausura, it was also 15th. Talk about consistency. Key player for them, I have gone for Carlos Gonzalez. Brought in this year from Toluca. He has 3 goals in 3 games already this season. He's helping to turn around the attacking troubles from last year, and I think he will be massively important in this tournament, especially if he can continue that form. And we have Querétaro. Talk about a disappointing apertura for them. 18th place, dead last. In the Clausura, they improved and finished in 10th. Key player for me. This was a bit of a tough one, as this is another team that had massive turnover. So a lot of new faces in the team this season and not a big sample size to go off of. I've gone for Emmanuel Goularte. I believe the Uruguayan. He's their most valued player on transfer market and is a consistent starter for the team. I honestly didn't have too much else to go off of to decide who was their key player, but I will just go for the guy that's most valuable.
All righty. Fun fact, quick on the bubble pop quiz here. Most famous player to ever play for Querétaro.
Ronaldinho.
Nice, good job.
I remember when he was there. That was pretty wild when he went there.
Well done. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of
you.
your ball knowledge there. You can't do it on a rainy Friday in Fun Game Friday, but you can do it here.
Yeah, you know what? I try. We're improving on Fun Game Friday. It's only a matter of time before I start winning.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be the big brother here who lets the little brother win a game every once in a while so they don't cry to mom.
You don't have to let me win. I earn my wins. All right, let's rank it.
Yeah,
I've got Philly 1, I've got Tijuana 2, and I have Querétaro 3.
that's exactly where I was going with it. I think Querétaro's poor. I think Tijuana's mid. I think Philly's better than the group of them.
Yeah, Philly should be winning this group 100%.
Yep. I am just finishing up here really quick.
Professional podcast.
Oh no, I'm transferring over some notes, that's all.
To
a new sheet of paper so it fits.
That's always important.
Yeah. Okay, you did this, this, this. I also did that, and that. Okay. Hey, quiet down over there.
Sorry.
I'm at Central 2. This one, pretty mid. I got Puebla, I've got Minnesota United, and I've got the Chicago Fire. Starting off with Puebla, a team that just snuck into the Clausura playoffs in the past season with a 6-2-9 record. The 34-year-old Mexican Eduardo Arce leads this side since 2022. No one player really stood out to me, so I'll highlight a defender because we don't do that often. Gaston Silva, a 29-year-old center back from Uruguay, will lead the back line for Puebla. He spent most of his time in Spain, Italy, and Argentina before moving on a free in 2022. 29 caps with the Uruguayan national team, played in all but 2 games in the 2022-23 season. Look for him to try and lock up some dangerous MLS strikers, like one in Minnesota. Ooh, look at that
transition.
Adrian Heath's side is right where they want to be in Minnesota, on the edge of the playoffs until that summer transfer window so they can sign one person and get them on a run. That they currently sit on 28 points, currently missing out on the playoffs on goal differential with a 6-10-8 record, but have fantastic away form and just signed my player to watch, Timu Puki. The former Premier League striker has already shown a great connection with playmaker Emmanuel Reynoso, grabbing himself a goal in his 2 appearances so far. He will be using this tournament again to gain some footing, gain some chemistry, but also get some goals. I think this is a really good opportunity for Minnesota to get themselves on a run and start prepping for the end of the regular season. Then we move to Kasper Shabilko's Golden Boot season, and my prediction is that he wins the Golden Boot for the League's Cup.
Where have I heard this one before?
They sit on 30 points with a 7-7-9 record with Frank Klopas as the interim in charge. He's trying to get these guys to the playoffs for the first time since 2017, and will leave heavily on my player to watch. No, it's not a U.S. youth national team player. No, it's not a washed-up Switzerland player. It is a 19-year-old Greek striker, Georgios Koutsias. Pronounced that really wrong. The Greek youth international signed for $2.36 million in February and has provided a different option to Kai Kamara up top. He's got 2 goals, 1 assist in 500 minutes and has started to break into the team. But I think he can use this tournament to really get up to speed and get going in MLS to push the Fire to the playoffs. I know you don't know who that is, but trust me.
I know who that is.
No, you don't.
I've heard of him.
You've
I
got
know
ball knowledge like
I know you're talking about this group being like a mid off, but I do feel like Chicago and Minnesota could be kind of sleepers here.
they could. No, like I said, I think Chicago's up and down form bothers me.
True, but their form is very up right now.
Yeah, but that means it's going down at some point. Um, my predictions here very quickly. I've got Minnesota at 1, which pains me.
Ooh.
I got Puebla at 2, and I've got
Ooh,
Chicago
wow.
missing. I've got Chicago missing out.
You, sir, are a bold man.
I'm
I have
drinking the haterade, man.
I've gone for Chicago at 1,
Wow.
Minnesota at 2, and Puebla
Wow.
at 3.
Yes, I love it. Look it to my veins.
Going off form, Jordan Shaqiri's carrying Chicago.
Stop. I would love for that to be his legacy, by the way. Carried Chicago in the first
League
ever
Cup
Leagues Cup.
merchant.
Did nothing for the rest of his time here, but Leagues Cup, he got him to the semifinals. Oh, man. All right, we move on. I've got 2 more groups left. You have 2 more?
I got 3 more.
Okay.
Let's go to East 2. East 2 is looking at Pumas, CF Montreal, and DC United. Looking like another mid-off, from being honest. Let's start with Pumas. In the Apertura, they got 16th. In the Clausura, they got 14th. This is going to sound like a familiar name. I actually had to check to make sure that I did not mess it up. But the key player for me for Pumas is Juan Dineno. Juan Dineno for Pumas had 14 goals, 4 assists last season and was easily their most productive attacker. He was also the highest rated in the Clausura for Pumas last season, behind a 1 Danny Alves. So I suspect that he will be massively important in their attack again this year. Then let's move on to CF Montreal. 18th in the Supporter Shield, 10th in the Eastern Conference. I think I've gone for a little bit of a weird one here, or a different one here, not a weird one, for a key player. But I've gone for the new man, Kwadwo Opoku. I think Opoku's got a great chance in Montreal to kind of leave the shadow of Vela and Bouanga that he had in LAFC and start to make a name for himself as the key guy in Montreal. I think there are good pieces in this team, and I think he has the chance to be the star attacker for them. And I think this tournament will be a fantastic opportunity for him. And finally, we have Wayne Rooney's DC United, 17th in the Supporter Shield, 9th in the East. Key player for me is the revitalized Christian Benteke, who has been surprisingly very good this season, despite his numbers at the end of his time in England. I think he will be key for this DC attack and trying to get any bit of consistency for this team because I feel like there is none.
Okay. Now let's make a quick prediction for your group.
The group for me, I've gone for Pumas in first, I've gone for DC in second, and I've gone for Montreal in third.
See, I'm going a bit different here. I'm liking Montreal right now. I think they're starting to click and get their guys going in the right spots. However, I just got to double check. Are they playing at home? Because they're very good at home.
It's a bold statement to say that they're clicking when they're 1-1-3 in their last 5 games.
Did
Or
you
I guess
watch them last
1-3-1.
night?
One win.
Did you
All of a
watch
sudden
them
changes
last
that?
night? Hey, they need to be hot when they go into the thing. It's one game that makes you hot.
I did not watch them last night.
Well, they were very good.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this is why I'm doing this because both games are played in Montreal. And if we look at the conference standings, Montreal 8-3-0 at home. So I'm putting Montreal in first.
Wow.
I'll put Pumas second, and I'll put DC third. Montreal know how to play at home. That's all I'm saying.
Everybody knows how to play at home.
That's
Except
not
Red
true.
Bull.
I was about to say, have you seen Red Bull?
Except Red Bull.
Well, Charlotte's bad at home. Toronto's bad at home.
Charlotte and Toronto are just bad, period.
Colorado's terrible at home.
Colorado's bad, period.
All right, we're going to move on to Central 3 here, wrap this thing up.
Yep.
I've got Chivas Guadalajara, FC Cincinnati, and Sporting KC. A tough one here. Chivas, third place finishers in the Clausura with 10-4-3 record, making the playoffs. Former Chicago manager Velko Paunovic. Paunovic? Forgot how to pronounce that. But the guy who came in and was like supposed to be the fire savior, and then they gave him zero money to do any work. That guy. He leads this side with some serious talent, including the new arrival of Mexican international center mid Eric Gutierrez returning from PSV. A lot of these guys from Europe coming back early to Liga MX. The former Eredivisie man joined after making nearly 100 appearances in Holland earlier this month. Like many, he will use this tournament to get up to speed and build chemistry with his new teammates in preparation for the Apertura season. FC Cincinnati, top of the East, top of the Shield, and they are rolling after turning it around under new coach Pat Noonan. 14-2-7 record and unbeaten at home. These guys know how to get the job done. They just got Vazquez and Miazga back from the Gold Cup, and their new DP signing scored a goal last night. The guy who does it all, though, has never left. Lucho Acosta, the best number 10 in the league, bar maybe Thiago Almada on his best day. He's got the tools to score, to assist, or just to keep possession. His success will correlate to FCC's success. Sporting KC getting healthier and getting better. SKC are still out of the playoffs with a 6-10-8 record. Peter Vermes is still there, and he is now hoping that a healthier SKC squad can sneak into the playoffs. The man to watch for me is Alan Polito, a man familiar with Liga MX after spending 4 years with Chivas, the team in this group, before joining SKC in 2020. In just 1,500 minutes, he's got 10 goals, 1 assist after returning from injury, and he's only getting better. If he continues to produce at this pace, they're going to be okay. My predictions, since we want to keep going here, I got Chivas at 1. I got FCC at 2. And I got SKC at 3.
Okay. I've got Chivas 1, FC Cincy at 2, and SKC at 3.
Wow. Great idea,
Imagine
man.
that. Imagine that. All right, let's move things along. I know you got to get out of here.
Yep.
Let's go to another mid-off. East 3 might genuinely be one of the worst groups in the entire tournament. We have Atlas, we have NYC, and we have Toronto. Atlas in the Apertura last season finished 17th in the Clausura, much better, 9th place. For me, their key player, Anderson Santamaria. Top-rated player in the current year, as the team has been super strong defensively in the short sample size that they've had so far. He was also very solid in the Clausura last year. NYCFC 25th in the Supporter Shield, 13th in the East. Key player, Santi Rodriguez. He's the guy that makes everything happen in the attack, and he's been trying to do his best while the team has 0 strikers. Then, last and certainly least, we have Toronto FC. 28th in the Supporter Shield, 14th in the East. Key player, that small Italian guy, Lorenzo Insigne. A highly disappointing season for Toronto. Massively, massively disappointing. A team that is in absolute free fall right now. And if it wasn't for Miami being the dumpster fire they are, would be dead last in the Supporter Shield. Insigne, we know, can be a superstar in the world. However, has just not had either the motivation or just the ability to find that form here. But if anybody's going to help Toronto move on and do anything in this tournament, it's going to have to come through Insigne. What'd you say? I couldn't hear.
Such a bad group.
It is. It's a really bad group. And on that note, I've gone for Atlas at 1, NYC at 2, and Toronto at 3.
You're so boring.
I mean, that's just what's going to happen. Toronto hasn't won a game, and Toronto hasn't got a point in ages.
Yeah, but you have to understand where we stand on this podcast. Atlas at 1, Toronto at 2.
Oh.
NYC at 3 because all my homies hate the Pigeons.
You know the last time Toronto got a win was
Didn't ask, don't care.
May 27th. They have gone almost they've gone almost 2 months. No, they actually, yeah, they've gone almost 2 months without a win.
You know when the next one they're going to get is? July 21st.
You know that they're on a 6-game losing streak right now, and in that 6-game losing streak, they have 1 goal.
What better time to break it than right now?
They
just brought in Latif Blessing, the savior.
Game changer.
Poor Sean Johnson.
It was, you know what it was? It was all Mark Anthony Kay's fault. He was the one losing them 6 straight games.
That's what Twitter was telling me.
I know, it's true. I saw that.
All righty, let's finish this up on my end with Central 4. I've got Nashville, I've got Toluca, and I've got Colorado Rapids.
Woo! Big ups, Colorado.
Big ups. They're going to be big down in a minute. Gareth Smith's Nashville, once again, in a comfortable playoff spot, sitting 4th with an 11-7-6 record, 10 points clear of the playoff line. Key man, to no surprise of anybody, is our Lord and Savior, Alex Maweel.
Alex Maweel. Oh, Nashville. For some reason, I thought you were talking about Colorado. I was like, when did you go to Colorado?
No, just kidding, right? It's Hani Mukhtar, the only guy who can do anything for anybody. Man on
respect to Walker Zimmerman.
Stop it. Did you see Walker Zimmerman nearly give away a gift of a goal to FCC last night?
I didn't. No.
It was bad. Took 9 years on the ball, and then you had all the Euro snobs going, this is why we can't have MLS defenders in the national team. I had to get off Twitter for a good 30 minutes after that one.
I'm sure.
No, last year's MVP and very, very strongly in the conversation for this year as well. Hani is on a 13-goal, 7-assist run in the last 23 matches. Dude is balling out and is on. All right, I'll just say it. He is Nashville's attack.
Yeah.
He's going to be a problem for other defenders in this group, bar none. Moving to Toluca, the 4th-place team in the Clausura last year with a 9-5-3 record. They are yet another good team in a good position in Liga MX, and I'm double-checking that just to be sure I picked the right team this time.
Hopefully.
Yes, I did. Go me. Ignacio Ambriz is in charge, and the man who will want to watch is Maxi Arujo, the Uruguayan left wing, joined from Puebla in January for 5.6 mil, scored against Cuba in a friendly in June, meaning that we should be terrified because that means he's likely as good, if not better than Josh Sargent, meaning that he would be in our national team right now.
And he would be torching the league.
He'd be torching it. If he was in MLS, he would have 900 goals. 35 assists because he wouldn't want to pass it. Why would he pass anybody who's not better than him?
Yeah, and he'd have 15 supporter shields and 14.
And he would do it all in 1/2 a play per game. He's got 14 goals and 10 assists and 103 appearances in Liga MX, valued at 8.5 mil. The potential for danger is there for this guy. And finally, my last team is a team in a wooden spoon race with Miami, who that's never a good spot to be in. It's the Colorado Rapid. Robin Frazier's men sit on 19 points, dead last in the West, with a 3-10-10 record. Only 16 goals for and 30 against. To put it lightly, it has not been a good year. Player to watch? Anybody not wearing a Colorado Rapids jersey. How about new signing Rafael Navarro, a 23-year-old Brazilian striker from Palmeiras, looking to provide something different to Diego Rubio up top. No games yet, so he's looking to gain some chemistry, but anything's got to be better than 16 goals in 25 games, right?
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Predictions, I know, shocker to nobody. Give me Nashville at 1. Give me Toluca at 2. Give me Colorado at 3. Even I'm not crazy enough to put Colorado in this one.
So here's the thing.
Oh, give it to me. Colorado at the top. Come on.
I have the same standings as you.
Ooh.
I have Nashville 1, Toluca at 2, and Colorado at 3. But I would not be surprised to see Nashville fall down the standings quickly. They have been terrible lately.
Do something with your predictions then. Show something that you're not surprised.
But I already did my whole knockout bracket. I had to
Guess
change
what?
it all.
I did it in pencil. I can erase it.
Fine. I'll do something different. Toluca at 1, Nashville at 2, and Colorado at 3.
Less crazy, but I'll take it.
I will not be putting Colorado in there. They are dreadful.
That's heartbreaking.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break your heart. But Nashville has lost 5 of their last 6. Lost.
Yep.
If Hani's not doing it, they're doing nothing. So then that leaves one more, right?
I'm out of things to talk about. So
Let's talk about, well, you have plenty to talk about because we're talking about East 4. And you know who's in East 4, Andrew?
up
The New Jersey Metro Stars.
Up the Metro.
New York Red Bull, New England Revolution, and San Luis will make up the East 4. Let's start with New England. Second in the Supporter Shield, second in the East. Key player as if it was going to be anybody else. Carl Seal. One of the best number 10s in the league for a few seasons now. Will easily carry this team to plenty of success in this tournament. Spoiler alert. Then we have the Red Bull. 21st in the Supporters Shield, 11th in the East. A pretty dreadful season by Red Bull standards. Key player is a tough one as well. It's not like you have a superstar on your team. So I've gone for the man in the back line, Sean Nealis, a super solid center back. He will be a key leader in that back line, and will have to be on his game in order to try to squeak out of this group. Then we have San Luis from Liga MX. In the Apertura, they finished in 13th. In the Clausura, they finished in 12th. Pretty consistent. Key player for me, I've gone for Juan Sanabria. Hasn't played a ton yet this year, but is the highest valued player on their team and is also the third highest rated player for the bit of game time he's gotten this season. In addition, he was the 4th highest rated player in the Clausura last year. So I think he will be massively important to this team in trying to get out of this group. And the reason that I specified get out of this group for the last 2 teams is because this is New England's group to lose. They will be finishing in first place. I'm not crazy enough to say something else. But I've gone for Red Bull at 2. I think the team is solid enough to beat out San Luis and get out of this group. And that leaves San Luis in 3 for me.
I think you did that just because Jurgen Damm's on ASL and you don't want him anywhere near your team.
I do remember seeing Jurgen Damm. I almost picked him as the key player for the memes.
That would have been awesome. This entire, like, this is how I see this tournament going. For whatever reason, Red Bull are going to top this group. They're going to go on a run to like the semifinals, lose in some heartbreaking fashion. Everybody in the fan base is like, let's go. We're about to go on a run mid-table, and then we're going to lose every MLS game from now until the end of the season. We're going to miss the playoffs. Like, that's how I can see this going because that's what this team does. Here's how
What if it's the opposite, though? What if you completely fail at Leagues Cup and that kicks off the regular season run and you squeak into the playoffs?
I would take that every day of the week. Leagues Cup means nothing to me.
However,
I've got New England at 1. I've got Red Bull at 2, and I've got San Luis at 3 because I don't think it's legal for me to not put my team through to the next round. Once we get to the knockouts, they're allowed to lose. But in this group, yeah, I'm not allowed to say that. Is that it? Is that everybody?
That's it. That's everybody.
All right, y'all. We got to wrap this up. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you know when our next episodes go live. We will be doing, once we get to the knockout section later on in the month, I believe it starts sometime in August, we will come back and do the knockout bracket. We'll check our scores, see how well we did, and then we'll do the second chance bracket, if you will. Make sure you're following us wherever you get social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. YouTube, and TikTok. We post all of our clips there. We'll post these little blurbs here, these little 30-second blurbs of each team, so you get to know a little bit about them. Yeah, and make sure you tell everybody that we're covering Leagues Cup, because I don't think many people are, rightfully so. But what else we got to do, right? Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.